Okay, so today we're going to be doing the new image and software update for 2025. To do this, you need to order this kit from Sukup Manufacturing through your dealer. The L7996R25. You need this kit from Sukup. When you go to the dryer, you're going to need this right here and a keyboard. A computer keyboard that you can plug into the USB in the bottom of the touchscreen. So, you're going to start out by opening up. No, you're going to turn the power off. Shut the power off. Open up the screen. On the bottom, there are USB plugs. You're going to plug in your keyboard, and you're also going to plug in the L7996R25. You're going to plug that into the bottom of the touch screen. After you have that plugged in, you're going to get your keyboard and you're going to hit F12. And you're going to hit F12 twice per second while you turn the power on. And you're going to continue pressing F12 on the keyboard. Comes up with the Sukup Manufacturing. You continue pressing it until this screen comes up. On here, you're going to see a few different options. And actually, it is not giving us the option that we need. So I'm not sure why it did this, but if you look, it's not giving us the option that we need. We need one of these options listed on this manual. General or Vendor C or SMI USB. And it's not giving us any of the correct options. So we are going to turn the power off again. We're going to make sure our USB is plugged in correctly. I plugged the USB into the port with the blue inside it. Some of the ports are blue, some of them are black. Plugged it into the one that's blue. Now we're going to power it on again while pressing F12 twice per second. And we're going to see if we can get the correct menu up. It's very common to have to try more than once. This is my first time ever doing this. I've walked people through it, but this is the first time I'm doing it. So now we have the correct option. We have Vendor C, product code 3. If you look right there, the one that it's on. So we use our arrows on our keyboard and we can move our selection up and down. We put it to Vendor C, product code 3, and then we press Enter on our keyboard. Now it starts loading the files. Okay, now it asks, are you sure you want to format an image? And we say yes. And then it verifies some more stuff, that if you hit yes, all files will be erased, and we hit yes again. So now it's doing the image. It's going to take a bit. Now we're done. Now it says remove USB flash drive now. Click OK to restart. So we're going to unplug our keyboard and our USB. And we're going to hit OK. Now we are done with the image. Now we're going to the next step, will be loading software. So when you do this image, you will want to load the 4.03 software in the HMI when you're done with this image. So we're going to let the screen restart, and then we're going to load software. So now we have the Install Quadratouch Pro touch panel software. We have a Sukup USB with 4.03 software loaded on it. We're going to plug that into the bottom of the touch screen. We're going to wait a couple seconds so the touch screen has a chance to connect to that USB, and then we're going to hit Install Quadratouch Pro software. Now you have your file transfer in progress, and we're going to install the 4.03 software on the touch screen. Now you see this came on like it's powered up, but your Sukup symbol is not on the screen correctly. So you just have to wait until it finishes booting up. Now it's starting to attempt to establish an initial connection. Says there's a communication error. We're going to hit next. And now we can do a network repair utility, but up here at the top we have restart required now. So we're going to tap that restart required, and we're going to make the screen go through a restart. It powered up again, but that Sukup symbol isn't on the screen correctly, so we wait. Now it goes through the attempting to establish initial connection, which it's going to fail, because whenever you do this L7996R25 image, the communication does not work when that's done. So we're going to fix that, and I will show you how. Okay, now dryer's not found. This is normal, and we don't have no restart up there. So we're going to hit this. See, there's no restart issue. We have a communication error. So the one thing when doing this is just don't get in a rush. Now we're going to hit our network repair utility. And we're going to want to do our initial configuration. Oh, ready next step. Ready next step. Assign network adapter names. So let's verify the PLC is powered on. Yes, the dryer is powered up, so if the dryer wasn't powered up, it would have not found a connection. So now we assign dryer connection static IP address. Now we're assigning a static IP to the dryer connection of the touch panel. Please wait. Oh, now it says dryer found, initial configuration complete. So we can hit reset or we can set up internet. I always go to set up internet. Even if you're not going to have internet connected, hit set up internet, because this is the only way to get in to fix the metrics on the touch screen. And if your customer would want to connect it to the internet in the future, then you want this done. Now, this control was connected to the internet, will be connected to the internet, and was working fine. So we're going to leave DNS alone. We're going to go to network adapter settings. And if this customer was to hook this to the internet later, say your customer is not going to hook it to the internet, but later, at a later date, a year or two later, decides to connect it to the internet. If you do not come in here and make the repairs I'm going to show you, then he's going to have issues when he connects it to the internet. We're going to hit adapter 1. The metric is at 35. It's always at 35 when you do what we're doing to this screen. You tap that metric. See, now it says repairing network adapter. So it will fix that metric if you just tap it. Okay, now that metric is 1. We're on the dryer connection. Metric is 1. Everything is green. Everything is green except for internet DNS and my Sukup DNS. That means all our connections are good, other than we're not connected to the internet. So everything's good in here, so we're going to hit reset. Now we need to set the dryer model. That is always the first thing we need to do. We got a mix flow. It is previous to 2023. It is a 16-foot. It is a 6-tier. It is a conveyor unload. It is the bottom static sampler, which is, here it says the original static sampler was 6 1/4 by 4. 2019 we started making them as a rolling change. So you go to the bottom. If it's a mixed flow, it's going to be the bottom. Then I'm not sure if he has soft starts or VFDs. I went and looked, and this dryer has soft start, and it's expandable. And he has a gravity load. Now we have everything correct. So now we're going to hit done. You always need to set the dryer model when you're done doing software, and then once you do your communication stuff, then you set your dryer model. And then, but you got to do a restart, then you get your communication working, and then you do dryer model. This was blinking for a little, now it's stopped. We're going to hit that. And now we need to go look at the PLC to see if we have the correct PLC as what's listed here. What we need to check is how many green cards, and is it a 151 or a 150? We have 3 green cards, and it's a 151. So we have 3 green cards. We're going to hit that switch at 3 green cards. It's 151. We're going to hit update PLC. Great, the PLC is currently showing a matching software version of the HMI. Click Next. Now we have our model number, we have our PLC version up to date. Now we're going to go in and do some settings. Here we're going to go to fan heat settings, fan shutdown delay timer. This should be default at 3 minutes. It's at 0. It takes 3 minutes to get the heat out of the plenum. You can make that a longer time if you want. 3 minutes is my minimum. Fan start delay timer. This should be default at 15 seconds. This dryer only has one fan, so it doesn't matter, but I go through and set everything properly, no matter what the dryer is. So this is the amount of time between fan startups, and that should be 15 seconds. Air switch settings, default is good. Heat delay, default is good. LP vaporizer warm up, don't need that in Nebraska. You might need that depending on the state you're in, if it's real cold. Plenum out of range shutdown. I always turn this on, and I put it to 15 and 15. That is, so if your propane tank runs low, if it's warm out where you're drying, this normally ain't an issue, but if it's cold out where you're drying and your propane tank runs low and there's enough gas there to keep the flame lit, but not enough gas to keep the plenum up to temp, I've had people dump wet grain because the plenum drops down to, let's say they have the set point at 180 and it drops down to where it's running 130 and it starts dumping corn that's too wet into the bins. So 15 minutes, 15 degrees, temperature out of range, that eliminates any chance of headaches down the road. Plenum temperature, we're going to set that elsewhere. Plenum min and max. On this dryer, we're going to let this go. If you had a 3 or 4 plenum mix flow, especially a 4 plenum mix flow, I turn on the high temp option, and then I go in here and I turn this plenum min and max. I turn the max up to 240. That way that top plenum, or 230, that way that top plenum can be run 230 on a multi-plenum mix flow. But with this being a single plenum, I do not want them to exceed 220 degrees. Auto temp adjust, that does not work, don't use it. Flame out timer, always bump this up to 90 seconds. That way when you are troubleshooting a flame out fault on startup, it's very easy to know, is the board shutting it off or is the dryer shutting it off? That way you know, like, the burner shut off and then it went another half minute and then the dryer threw a fault, then you know that the board is the one turning the flame off because it's not sensing flame. Whereas if it burns for the full 90 seconds and then this throws the fault right when it shuts the flame down, then you know it's a signal from the burner to the PLC and not the burner board. Simplifies troubleshooting. EMOV settings, you don't mess with them. You would set these to calibrate your mod valve. I made a different video on that. We're not getting into that today. High temp option, low temp option. If you dry soybeans, some people use the low temp option. If this customer dried soybeans, I would enable the low temp option. Oh, that's already enabled. But then what I would do is go in here to min and max and drop this min down to 90 degrees if he was going to dry soybeans. The EMOV loop controls, they actually look good. I like them. I didn't know what this software had in for them. We're going to go to grain settings. We have the 6045 sensor, which is correct. Sample time in minutes, 1. I always make this 2. And 5 samples to average is good. Output moisture alarm, output sensor. The grain, this is where we can select what grain we're running. So here we're running corn. We're going to let it set on that. We're going to go back and we are all set in settings. Now we're going to go to tools, calibrate sensors, bushel calendar, manual calibration, calculate ratio, numbers go in there. We're going to back out. That's all we're going to do. History log, language, connectivity tools. We're going to go in here, remote access. We're going to turn this on. Network repair utility, we did that. Update security certificates. We're going to do that. It says restart required. We're going to hit the restart required. see the Sukup symbol's not in the center of the screen, on the screen right, so we're just going to wait. Then it's going to do attempting to establish an initial connection. Dryer found. Next. Okay, now we're going to go back into tools and finish what we were working at. Connectivity tools, we were in here. We did that. We did our network repair utility. Everything in here is complete. Now we're going to go to bushel counter. That is there because we calibrated the bushel counter. We want to go to system tools, and everything, we don't touch anything in there. Diagnostic tools we don't need. Shutdown tools we don't need. That's interesting. It has that there is activated, so that's green. There's different shutdown options. We're not going to mess with them. Utility tools, we have air system controls. If you have an air system hooked to the dryer, you would turn this on, you would agree and enable interlock, and you would turn on automatic air system controls. And at that point, the touch screen will tell you you need to update the air system PLC, and you just follow the steps. And here is where you would do your settings to set your air system up. We do not have an air system, so we're going to skip that. We're going to go to update tools. Windows updates are enabled here. I used to always turn them off. I'm not going to turn them off. I'm going to see how this season works, and in 2 months I may have better information on that, but we're going to let them go for now. We're going to go back. So that is all we're going to do in the tools. Now we have it all set up like it needs to be. The one thing you want to do is with the Windows updates enabled, if we go in here, with the Windows updates enabled, what you want to do is before you dry corn, you're going to want to connect your internet, and then you're going to want to hit Shutdown Quadratouch Pro and go through a standard shutdown. And at that point, your windows are going to update. And once it's all done and shut down, screen goes black, then you turn your power switch off and you turn it back on and power it back up. And once it's fully powered up and on your running screen, you're gonna hit power off Quadratouch again, and you're going to keep cycling your touch screen until it no longer has any updates to do. So ours shut down normal. If it was hooked to the internet, it would probably say, please wait, do not power off computer when we went to shut it down. Because it's not hooked to the internet, there's no windows that it can update, so it just shuts right down. If it did a Windows update, we would power it back up. As soon as it was powered on normally, we would do another shutdown and allow it to do its Windows updates until when we go to shut it down, it just shuts down instantly. So that should cover the 2025 image on the Quadratouch Pro and the 4.03 software update.